Daily Broadside, day 388. Today we're going to talk about bands that didn't put out a lot of albums, but were just absolutely phenomenal. We'll start off with Dire Straits. I think they had 6 studio albums. Nobody really died. Nobody really broke up. They just weren't a prolific band in terms of what they put out. Nevertheless, phenomenal. If all you know of Dire Straits is Money for Nothing, man, you're missing out on everything. Your latest Trick, Brothers in Arms, the whole Communique album, Making Movies, Romeo and Juliet. There's just so many brilliant songs. Probably most people know Sultans of Swing and Money for Nothing. Little aside about Money for Nothing. Sting has a co-writing credit on that because he was by the studio when they were recording it, and he was asked to sing something. He was asked to sing "I Want My MTV," and he put it to the tune of "Don't Stand So Close to Me." I want my MTV. Don't stand so close to me. And because of that, the record company that Sting hated and was at war with eventually heard the song, and they're like, wait a minute, that's our song. And so they got money from it, and it pissed Sting off because he hated them and didn't want to give him any money. But nevertheless, Dire Straits, phenomenal band, didn't do enough stuff, you know. Then you got Nirvana, 3 albums. I remember in '89 or so, I was reading some metal magazine, and Kirk Hammett was asked what he's listening to. And of course, no one had heard of Nirvana except Kirk Hammett. And he was, I remember distinctly, he was like, because I would always look up bands that were, you know, promoted by people that I listened to. And he's like, yeah, I've been listening to this band called Nirvana, and they've got this album Bleach out. And this was '89, you know. And man, I didn't hear it till a couple years later, but he was right. I love that album. And even if you count Aneurysm, they just didn't put out a lot of stuff. Jim Croce, same thing. Amazing musician, didn't put out that many albums. I think he had 5 or 6, something like that. Jimi Hendrix only had 3. If you count Band of Gypsies, he's got 4. My favorite, Axis Bold as Love. If 6 was 9, Spanish Castle Magic, Wait Till Tomorrow. Castles Made of Sand, I think the best Hendrix song ever written. Just did so many great things, and it blows your mind to go back and listen to what Hendrix did in terms of the relative time. I mean, if you could go back and listen to that stuff coming out, it would have blown your mind. And I hate the fact that I wasn't a part of that, you know, and people lived through that and they could talk about it, you know, and everything. Who else we got? To me, Skinner and the Allman Brothers, they ended when certain people left the band. You know, Street Survivors is the only, that's the last Skinner album that matters, because when you grab somebody beautiful like Steve Gaines and you lose, you know, your singer and everything like that, and I don't care if Donnie, Connie, Bonnie, Donnie, Ronnie, everybody goes, you know, all those stupid brothers come in and try to sound like Ronnie. It's still not Ronnie. And you know, I saw Skinner in, God, it's probably like 2001, 2002 with Peter Frampton and Mike Tramp of White Line doing a solo set. And at the time, Leon was on bass, Gary still was on guitar. I think I don't think it was Artemis, but they had one of the early drummers playing with them. Billy was on the keyboards, and then Donnie was singing. And I want to say Ricky Medlock might have been on guitar. But so it was most of the original band. But if you take Alan Collins out of the band, and Steve Gaines out of the band, and Ronnie out of the band, it's not the band anymore. So all that crap they made after '77, after the plane crashes, this doesn't count. The same thing with Allman Brothers. Idlewood South, Eat a Peach, Live, all that stuff is brilliant. But when Dwayne gets on a motorcycle and dies, it's not the same. Brothers and Sisters is not as good of an album. You know, Dickie Betts singing should never exist in the first place. But yeah, so that's not cool. But man, the first 4 albums they had, even with a live album, man, it's just beautiful. In Memory of Elizabeth Reed is the reason I think Idlewood is their best album. Just a brilliant, brilliant piece of music. Who else we got? Let's see. Jeff Buckley, only 1 album, although there's a couple compilations that are worth picking up. Drunk, Sweet, Darling, or something like that. He's got a couple that were posthumously released, but if you've never listened to Jeff Buckley's '94 album Grace, you're sorely missing out on so much brilliant musicality. That dude who jumped into the Mississippi River and drowned accidentally while singing Whole Lot of Love by Zeppelin, which is kind of a cool way to go out if you're going to go out. If you're going to accidentally drown, you know, sing some Zeppelin. I mean, yeah, do what you do, but don't go in the river with all your clothes on, because when tugboats go by, the wake creates problems and you can't swim that well. But man, Jeff Buckley is just a godsend, and only one beautiful, fully committed record. And some of the stuff wasn't complete and all, but it's still, you can hear the brilliance. But man, I'm gonna tell you, there's just some beautiful artists. The Police, we gotta talk about the Police. The Police put out, what, 5 albums? Zenyatta Mandata, can't talk. Ah, man, just some brilliant music, mostly because Sting was an asshole and couldn't agree, but Stuart Copeland's kind of an asshole too. Andy Summers must have had a hell of a time. Hey, giddy up.